to our linguistics lesson. Today we're going to start coming up with a definition of language. If you remember, at the end of this unit we're going to be writing a 5-paragraph essay about what language is and why it's important. So today we're going to do a group activity, and in your groups you're going to be in charge of coming up with a definition of language, which includes 3 criteria for what language has to be able to do. So for example, a baby crying, does that count as language? Definitely. We understand that the baby's mad and that the baby's trying to communicate with us, but is it a language? I don't know. I want you guys to be able to think about that question today. Or, gosh, hieroglyphics and petroglyphs, are those language? They're picture-based language systems, but are they language? I don't know. Maybe. It depends on how you define language. So we're going to do an activity today that helps you think about what does a language need to be able to do to be considered a language. So those are going to be criteria, and you need to come up with 3 of them. If you can't get 3 of them on your own, it's going to be okay. We're going to have a group discussion afterwards, and you can get some ideas from your classmates. And we're doing this because we want to understand why English is important, how it shapes our perceptions, the way we see the world, our beliefs, our identities, and we'll know we've got it when we can write that 5-paragraph essay. So at the end of today, your 1-paragraph definition and explanation of language is going to be the beginning of your 5-paragraph essay. So hang on to it, don't lose it. Okay, so you're going to be working in groups with 4 people, and your group is going to have to solve a communication-related problem. The end goal of this is to compose that definition of language that contains 3 criteria. So as you're working, I want you to think of the problem that you're having. What is it that's missing from your communication that's making your job so challenging? And that thing that's missing, that's going to be your criteria, okay? So each group is going to have 4 people in it, and everybody's going to need to have a job. Here are the jobs. First person is going to be the scribe. So you're going to be wanting to take notes on everything your group says. Your group's going to have to answer some questions. It's going to be your job to write those things down. So you're going to need to be paying attention so you can write down what your group comes up with. The presenter is going to be the person who presents your group's thinking to the class. Everybody's going to come forward and help answer questions and share your ideas, but the presenter is going to be the person who gives the information to the class. So if you're shy, maybe don't choose this role, maybe choose a different role. The group leader, your job is to make sure your group gets the job done. Ask questions to help get your group thinking. Keep an eye on the clock. Keep your discussion moving forward, and make sure your group finishes the task in the allotted amount of time. And then the final job is going to be the person who asks questions, or the devil's advocate. I think that you're going to be tempted to just come up with easy solutions that don't really solve the problems, but I need you to actually solve the problems. So questioner, your job is to make sure that your group arrives at realistic conclusions and does the job that they've been assigned to do. Those jobs are going to be kind of tricky. Okay, I'm going to go over the different groups for you really fast and what each group is doing. And you can think about maybe which one your group wants to solve. The first group, you guys are doctors on a mission with Doctors Without Borders, somewhere in the Amazon rainforest. You arrive in a village with a small tribe of indigenous people. Your translator is too ill to speak. You need to figure out how to communicate the following messages with the people. You need to write down an explanation of how you're going to accomplish these tasks. Number 1, you need to tell those people that you're hungry and your translator is ill. May you have some food and a bed. Number 2, you've come to help this tribe defeat an airborne microscopic virus that is making them sick. How are you going to tell that to them? Number 3, you need to tell them that people who have a fever need to be quarantined. So think about how you're going to communicate those messages and come up with a plan. Okay? Group 2. You guys are going to be scientists with NASA, and you're part of a team that's going to be launching a satellite into space. You have been assigned the task of creating a message from Earth to any intelligent life that may intercept the satellite. You need to determine what information you want to communicate. What do you have to say about Earth? Out of all the fascinating things about Earth, what's the most important? And then you have to figure out how you are going to give them that information. This is going to be tricky. And you need to write down the answer to these problems. This is a real thing that happened, and when you guys are done, I'm going to share with you what NASA came up with. Group 3. Your iPhone keyboard is broken for a week, but the emojis still work. You need to communicate the following ideas with various people in your contact list in ways that they will easily understand, using only emojis. Are emojis language? This is actually a question that people are talking about right now, linguists. You need to figure out how to communicate the following messages with the people. You need to write down an explanation of how you will accomplish these tasks. Number 1, get directions on how to get from your school to your house. Number 2, you need to tell your boss that your job is making you feel stressed and you'd like to resign effective in 2 weeks, using only emojis. Number 3, you need to let someone know that you've been harboring a crush on them for a long time and would like to go out on a date. Group 4. Your 4-year-old nephew, 3-year-old nephew wants to be your pen pal, but he doesn't know how to read or write. Figure out how to communicate the following messages with your nephew by writing a letter for your nephew. Tell him about your day and the things that are on your mind. Ask him about his day and the things that are on his mind, and let him know that you're going to come visit him in October. Group 5. Your mother was the victim of an unfortunate accident with a firecracker. Both her eardrums ruptured temporarily, and she will be wearing eye patches for 2 weeks. You need to convey the following 2 messages. The following 3 messages with your mother. Write down an explanation of how you will accomplish these tasks. A, it's time for her to take her medicine and have a nap. B, you are failing algebra. And C, it's because your algebra teacher is terrible. How are you going to tell those things to your mother? Okay, when you're done, I want your group to go through and answer the following questions. What were the challenges your group faced? What would have made your task easier? Do you think you were successful in communicating your message? And can you name at least 3 criteria? Oh, dang it. Can you name at least 1 criteria that language needs to be able to do to be considered language? So this is where you're going to look for what was your language missing that made this job so hard. Okay? When you're done, don't panic if you don't have 3 criteria yet. Just bring at least 1 to the table because we're going to combine all our criteria together as a large group. And then, once we've had a large group discussion about, this is where your group is going to present their findings, we're going to each write our own individual definition of language, including the criteria, 3 of them. And then I'm going to show you guys a video of what some experts came up with as a definition of language and the criteria for defining language. So, find your group, find your activity, and get busy.